Thanks for tuning in this morning. Today, we're talking with Dr. Nathan Williams. Dr. Williams is a nutritionist who is going to talk about a different kind of nourishment, mental nourishment. Welcome, Dr. Williams.
Thanks for having me.
Doctor, can you tell us which foods are good for our brains?
There are lots of foods and substances which can help our brains perform better, and each has different benefits. There are specific things we eat which help develop your concentration. For example, drinks with caffeine like coffee or food like chocolate may help you focus. Although we hear a lot about the bad effects of sugar, something sugary might boost your memory, at least temporarily. In fact, the brain really likes sugar, and it does have benefits. Something all of these so-called brain foods have in common is that they help improve your memory or lengthen your attention span.
The idea of brain foods is certainly becoming more popular, but Dr. Williams, is there any proof that brain foods can make you smarter?
There is always some debate about whether or not these foods really do make you smarter. But if you ask me, no food or drink can really raise your IQ. Intelligence depends on lots of factors, and a good diet is just one way of helping your brain work to its potential. So, brain foods on their own won't make you a more intelligent person, but brain nourishment can help in other ways.
Can you give an example to show how it helps?
Sure. I mentioned caffeine earlier. I know a lot of your listeners are students who might like coffee in the morning or a chocolate bar in the afternoon. Both of these contain the substance caffeine. Caffeine can be considered a brain food because it helps you wake up. It's been proven to sharpen your focus. Like all nourishment, it's temporary, and the effects of caffeine diminish over time.
If our brains react to sugar and chocolate, and it helps us focus, do you recommend we all eat more?
Well, the kind of sugar that the brain really wants isn't regular sugar. You actually need glucose. As they are digested, foods like bread and pasta turn into glucose. It's a sugar that the body makes from certain foods. A good source with fewer calories is fruit, and sadly not that chocolate bar. Processed sugar, like that found in chocolate, can help, but the energy it gives you doesn't last too long. If it were me, I'd avoid too much, because the temporary good effects aren't worth the long-term bad effects on the body.
Well, I'm disappointed I have to give up chocolate.
Well, I didn't mean that you shouldn't eat chocolate occasionally. I recommend dark chocolate. It's known to be healthier than more processed milk chocolate. If I were you, I'd pick out a dark chocolate bar with nuts in it from the store. Just an ounce of chocolate and nuts gives your brain nourishment without turning it to fat.
Great. Now, moving on from chocolate, I've always heard that fish is brain food. Is it?
It is. And this is a food that, unlike others we've talked about, has a more positive impact because it has more permanent or long-lasting effects. Fish provides protein and has a lot of omega-3 fatty acids, which are good fats. Those good fats really nourish the brain. It's good nourishment for your heart, too, so you get physical and mental nourishment.
That's interesting. Now, I often eat fish for dinner. I'm wondering, when is the best time to eat brain food? Is dinner a good time?
Actually, I recommend mornings. I think the key is having a good breakfast when you wake up. It's important to feed yourself well after a long sleep. I would suggest including whole grains, dairy, and fruits, which are good brain foods. Memory and attention spans are longer after a healthy breakfast. Blueberries are a popular breakfast food, and they've been proven to improve learning capacity and motor skills. And on the subject of breakfast, I'd like to point out that whole grains aren't just good for mental nourishment. According to statistics, it's true that they're also good for the heart.
So, what would your general advice be to our listeners who want to improve their brain nourishment?
I'd recommend eating less of the negative foods and adding more positive brain foods into the diet. It's worth the effort.
Thank you for the food for thought, Dr. Williams. You've given us a lot to think about.